The New England Patriots are heading towards being an elite football team, and USC wide receiver Jacoby Lane is the missing piece.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He's the director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with the LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Perfect prospect pairings on the offensive side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to talk about coaching up some prospects to get them to be impact players. But before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Keith, right now, I said it at the end of our Christmas Eve mock draft. Hope everyone had a happy holidays, Merry Christmas and all that good stuff. Keith, Jacoby Lane, I'm giving him to the New England Patriots, a team that is in I think they're 13-2 or 12-3, and they are the top team in the AFC right now. Drake Maye is playing. Just it's the jump we've seen from Drake Maye. First of all, can we give a shout out to that draft class, Keith? That quarterback class, Bo Nix, JD5 when he's healthy, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye. Those guys are playing great ball. Now we're trying to see if JJ McCarthy and Michael Penix can find their way, to being sustained starters. But Jacoby Lane, adding him to Kyle Williams and Stefon Diggs and what they are building over there in New England. Because I'll say this, Keith, we both will be honest. This isn't some like all-world wide receiver core that Drake Maye is throwing to right now.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, this is not some elite receiving core. So to watch him do this with this receiving core, you're like, man, if we just keep adding talent to this and get a young, true number one, a big body guy like a Jacoby Lane who he can separate and run solid routes, but it's the 50-50 ball. It's the George Pickens comp, right? If the ball's in the air, he typically makes the play. I can't wait till he gets to the combine and say, man, he wears 3X gloves. And yeah, I would believe it. If you told me that right now, I believe the amount of one-hand catches I've seen him make this year where it's just like, this looks like a practice rep. And this is a live game. Like his ball skills, hand-eye coordination, and body control are there, Keith. I think pairing him with Drake Maye and, like I said, Kyle Williams, Stefon Diggs, and that core of pass catchers, that just only accelerates the development and growth of Drake Maye.
Yeah, and I think you hit on a key thing and why this makes a whole lot of sense, right? And that's the fact that you look at who Drake Maye is throwing the football to, right? They're mid-round picks, some are even late picks. And with Kayshon Boutte, what did he go in the 7th round? Undrafted,
yeah, 6 or 7, somewhere in there.
Yeah, you're looking at Kayshon Boutte, you're looking at Stefon Diggs, who the NFL was almost done with him, right? Like collectively, because some people were talking character things. He's getting older, injuries, stuff like that, right? And to his credit, he's came in and played his butt off, but he's still on the back end. Kyle Williams, right? And Kyle Williams was a wide receiver that I liked a lot coming out of the draft, but another mid-round pick. So he's doing this without those Lamborghinis, right? Or those high-end athletes at the position. So I have to give credit to Drake Maye. I do like the Jacoby Lane because it gives him another red zone target too, right? Like just to make it a little bit easier to go ahead, throw that back shoulder fade or go ahead and go up and go get the football in the end zone. DP, I'm going to go with this, and I kind of went with it a little bit in the mock draft, but the Cleveland Browns taking a wide receiver and a specific type of wide receiver, but I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. The Cleveland Browns in the 2nd round, I think if they can get their hands on Deion Burks and they Oklahoma wide receiver Deion Burks, let me just clarify. And currently right now, the Cleveland Browns in the 2nd round, they have pick 38, DP. And in my opinion, I talk about it, you separate the film from the what he can do from the actual production. This guy can be a borderline 1st round pick. But I look at the Cleveland Browns wide receiver core, and I just think for Jerry Jeudy, it's an unfortunate situation, right? Because I think now you have to ask yourself, is his career declining? And he never actually got a true opportunity with real quarterbacks, right? Like in his NFL career. And so I think if we're talking about explosive wide receivers, guys that can do jet motion things, just do a lot of different things offensively, Deion Burks is that wide receiver. I think with Shedeur Sanders, it seems as though there are enough flashes, or there are enough flashes to where he's probably going to get an opportunity to be the full-time starter next year. And I think if the Cleveland Browns, if you really want this to work, and I'm talking ownership from a ticket sales perspective, right? Because the fans want Shedeur Sanders. It seems like some of the teammates want Shedeur Sanders to be the starter. But if you want this to work and him to be the best version of himself, you have to give him more pieces. And so I look at them go and get Deion Burks, the wide receiver from Oklahoma, in the second round. This is the type of young piece that helps. Now you have him, you have a Quinshon Judkins, you have Harold Fannin, right? You start to get some young pieces really rocking and rolling with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, no, I mean, you talking about, because they also have Isaiah Bond, who has a nice connection with Sheduer as well, especially on the deep ball. You talking about having the ability to, I think in the mock draft you gave him Jordan Tyson.
No,
and it was like,
and I go Zachariah Branch.
Yeah, you went Zachariah Branch both in the first round. But if they were to, because I think they have the 2 first-round picks, if they were to go Jordan Tyson, O-line, and then a Deion Burks, man, if I'm Shedeur Sanders, I'm soloing the rollie, baby. I'm soloing the rollie, because I'm like, this is the type of offense that I want to be a part of. Because to me, and I think I said it before, you could keep, if David Njoku wants to stay there, cool. I think you need to usher. I'm gonna say it, don't do what the Baltimore Ravens done. Because at one point, Isaiah Likely was trending towards being the best tight end on their roster, and they didn't press play on it. And then he just kind of, I don't know, like down there.
He's still in his role. I think that's the best way to put it. He's still in that same role. Yep.
And it's an inconsistent role. And like, instead of, like, I think they gave an extension to Mark Andrews. They're supposedly not going to pay Isaiah Likely, so he hits free agency and stuff like that. No, usher Harold Fannin into that tight end 1 role, because him and Sheduer have a very strong connection, and you want that connection to grow and allow him to be the tight end 1. If Njoku stays there, he's the tight end 2 and 12 personnel. But Jordan, if you go wide receiver early, like I said, O-line, that second first-round pick, and then added Deion Burks, Sheduer will be cooking, because now he can really play point guard, because he's got shooters, right? Like you can space the floor, you can let him be the floor general, because he has the weapons around him to do so. But you can't expect him to do that if you don't give him enough weapons. And then it wonders, like, okay, if we do add these 2 wide receivers, like you said, unfortunate for Jerry Jeudy, what happens, right? Do you take a pay cut to stay in Cleveland? Do they try and trade you somewhere else? You know what I mean? I think we talked about how not saying that he would be the answer, but the Chiefs needed more wide receiver help. Like, he would be probably their best route runner and separator on that team. You know what I mean? Because that's not really the strength of Isaiah, what's the Xavier Worthy or Rashee Rice. So maybe you try and get a trade and get a 4th, 5th round pick and cut your losses. But I'm with you, Keith. They definitely need to add some more receiving help. And a Deion Burks, a guy who, again, guys, if you haven't watched him, he plays predominantly outside. Even though he's like listed at 5'10", 5'9", he plays outside and he wins on the outside. I project him better as a slot, because I want him to give him that 2-way go, give him easier access to space and to grass, to where then, hey, we get you those easy catches, those option routes, those quick outs. Now you can become the playmaker after the catch that you've shown. And with an accurate quarterback like Sheduer, and I think that's the other part, Keith, with this offensive line. And you want to stop Sheduer from retreating and backpedaling so much, give him a quick option. Give him a guy that he can get the ball out really quickly to, and a Deion Burks fills that role immediately.
Yeah, and because I want to go back, and I think I talked about this earlier this week. I did. I think it was on Monday's episode, and I talked about the importance of a guy like Rashid Shaheed, right? And we talked about the punt return, but then we didn't talk about the in-around run, right? That I think he picked up 30 to 40 yards, which is an explosive play, which is an easy transaction for Sam Darnold, right? Like, okay, cool, just hand the ball off to you and you pick up 40, right? And I think just adding a piece like that for the Cleveland Browns, making it easier for Shedeur Sanders overall. And I mean, honestly, any quarterback that they have, like whoever's their quarterback next year, they need more pieces. They need more young, explosive pieces to be able to move forward and rock and roll and find their guy. DP, let's do this, man. We picked the offensive prospects. Let's switch sides of the football. Let's do defensive perfect pairings, right? Pick some defensive prospects and match them up with NFL teams and say why this can be a mutually beneficial situation. Let's do that coming up next.
NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. And FanDuel lets you jump into the moment live. And you can jump into the moment right now for the 2026 NFL Draft and make your bets on who will be the number one overall pick. The betting odds favorite is Fernando Mendoza, but you also can place bets on Arvell Reese, Ty Simpson, Dante Moore even. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. The NFL season is in full swing, and there's nothing like being at the game. The crowd noise, the energy, and cheering alongside other fans. Watching at home is great, but being in the stadium hits different. The frustrating part has always been getting tickets, waiting in queues, dealing with logins, and watching prices change right at checkout. That's why the Game Time app gives the advantage back to fans. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NFL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. I pulled up the Game Time app to check out up-and-coming NFL games and found great ticket options almost instantly. So, guys, take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use the redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today and get back to being there live. Defensive perfect prospect pairings, Keith. I go to one of the best teams in the Big Ten. I'm going to take one of their cornerbacks, Davison Igbinosun, and I'm going to give him to the Seattle Seahawks, Keith. There's been a lot of rumblings around the Seahawks might not be paying Tariq Woolen. They were potentially going to shop him during the NFL trade deadline or around the trade deadline. I don't know why. I think you should just keep him because he's a really good player. You know what I mean? But if you're going to get rid of him, I need to get a guy that can fit this system, fit with Mike McDonald, and just fit the culture. And that's Davison Igbinosun all the way to me. A guy that's listed at 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds. And on the season, for those who don't know, statistically, he's only allowed 187 yards total in coverage, 0 touchdowns allowed, 2 interceptions, 5 PBUs. And he's improved on the mechanical aspect and the technique of not having to be so grabby and handsy and aggressive. Now, don't get me wrong, he still does it sometimes, so you still just got to work with him. But he's improved because last year he was a walking flag in Ohio State secondary. This year he's been like you, Keith. There's always a phrase, as you know, and it goes for both two positions, tackle and corner. If I don't hear your name, great. It's a good thing. And you rarely hear Davison Igbinosun's name when you're watching live broadcasts of the Ohio State defense. You don't hear his name. Yeah, you're gonna hear Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese because they're making plays on the inside the box, but teams haven't been successful targeting this man. And so I think pairing him with Devin Witherspoon, and I think they still got Kobe Bryant. If you're going to let Tariq Woolen go and not pay him, fine. But you got to get a good replacement. And I think Davison Igbinosun mentally and culture-wise fits this Seattle Seahawks defense and what Mike McDonald's looking for in the corner.
Yeah, and I mean the Seattle Seahawks defense that likes to fly around, be dominant, right? And that's
Yep.
what he's been used to at Ohio State. But
Challenge you. They
also,
want to challenge you. Be physical.
yeah, and also too, him going to Seattle, DP is somewhere where he doesn't have to be the linchpin, right? Like he doesn't have to be the man all the time, right? Because they have so many players on the defensive side of the football. I think that's very important to where he can understand, like, hey, I'm a part of something, right? Like I'm a
Yeah.
piece to a puzzle, and that's kind of his role is at Ohio State, right? Like I mean, you still got Caleb Downs, you had Lathan Ransom, you got all these different guys littered throughout the defense, and I think I agree with you from a cultural standpoint. From him fitting mentally, could be a good thing. DP, I'm gonna go with this, man. And I started to put this player to a different team, to the Detroit Lions, but I'm gonna bump him up the draft, and I'm gonna go with another second round selection. I'm gonna have the New York Giants select Deontae Lawson, Alabama linebacker.
Mm.
And the reason being is that don't do what the Dallas Cowboys did and wait too long to make Abdul Carter just a full-time edge rusher, right? It like
Yeah.
just relieve him of those duties because him in two different drafts, right? But we talked about Keon Coleman on yesterday podcast, and then this year version of that appears to be Abdul Carter, right? Like him, not playing in certain situations and him not answering certain things. It's just been real weird, right? From the very beginning, I asked him for Lawrence Taylor jersey, and then it's like, all right, cool. If I can't have Lawrence Taylor, give me Phil Simms. How about that one, right? Like it's just been a lot, and I kind of want him to be able to think less and just go play football because the guy that we've seen
Yeah.
on film, right, the talent that he is should be a supreme talent. This is a guy that should be on a trajectory to be constantly in not just double-digit sacks, but somewhere between 12 and 17 sacks per year. And it seems like there's a lot of fogginess around that situation, and I want to clear some things up for him and say, you know what, just play edge, let everything else be, and we'll go from there, right? And I think drafting a Deontae Lawson, a high-end linebacker, high IQ that's played in high leverage moments, smart. He appears to be everything you want from a Mike linebacker. Having commanded a defense, he's been in complex defenses. He's played in multiple different schemes, and played really good football. I like Deontae Lawson a lot. I think he can help recenter this New York Giants defense.
No, I like that kid. I like that a lot. And Deontay Lawson, 6'2", 228, 230, 76 tackles this year, 4 pass breakups, a sack, and a forced fumble. He's around the football. He's athletic. He's smart and instinctive. And to your point, yeah, I didn't think they were going to do all this with Abdul. Like I was like, okay, you drafted him, third overall or something like that. You're going to use him where he's best. And it's like, that's rushing the passer. And I remember when they drafted him, I was like, I feel like they should probably go ahead and prepare to shop a Kayvon Thibodeau. I was like, I want to just let Abdul, because you're not going to get rid of Brian Burns. You just paid him. And I think he's one of the sack leaders this year. He's been absolutely balling for that defense. But I was like, if you trade Kayvon, get some draft capital back, Kayvon gets to go somewhere where he can flourish and everything else, get paid. And then you let Abdul play edge full time and just let him develop there for a full season. Like you said, and then people don't remember, we said on this pod numerous times, the Dallas Cowboys stumbled into Micah Parsons as an edge rusher. That was not their intention when they drafted him. He was going to be a linebacker because he played linebacker at Penn State. I think somebody went down on the edge situation.
They had a lot of injuries. Yeah, they had a lot of injuries at the edge rusher position.
And it was like, oh, this kid was an actual defensive end in high school? That's why he has such a good swim move and spin move and the Euro step into the cross chop. That's why he does those things at linebacker. I never knew. Like the Cowboys, like I didn't know. It was like, well, let's just leave him there. It's like Giants don't do that. Like, don't wait so late to say, you know what, this is where you could be. Because at the end of the day, Keith, I always look at where are you most impactful as a player. And if it's like, yes, don't get me wrong. Same way with Micah Parsons. You can drop back into coverage. You can rush, rush from the linebacker spot, hit the A gap, stop the run. You can do a lot of different things for us. But where are you best? Where's your impact felt the most? And where can you change the game? Oh, edge rusher? Cool. I'm going to let you rush the passer 85% of the time. I want that same thing for Abdul Carter. I think Deontae Lawson absolutely be able to kick, put him in this linebacker room, let him become the leader and the guy. Because that's how I view Deontay Lawson. I think he has that upside to be the guy as your Mike linebacker in your linebacker room. Let Abdul Carter walk down and play full-time edge, that stand-up edge rusher. Anything about being able to your defensive line stopping the run, and now you got Jaden Daniels, you got Jalen Hurts, you know what I mean? You got Dak Prescott on 3rd and 12, and you get to rush with Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence from the interior, and Abdul. Like just full time on 3rd down. Like that's how you collapse the pocket. That's how you pressure the quarterback. That's how you make big time plays on your defense. So yeah, Deontay Lawson, I love that fit because I think they're about to have a new head coach. They're about to have a new whole coaching staff, to be honest with you. Like that's the crazy thing. They have to have a whole new coaching staff. So yeah, I expect them to bring in some players that fit what they want to do. And I think Deontay Lawson would be a great Mike linebacker for them to build around. And then, like I said, kick down Abdul Carter.
Yeah, and I spoke on this with DP. Hopefully he's turning the corner now, right? Looking at the statistics. Week 1 against the Washington Commanders, right? We're rewinding all the way to September, right? He had a half a sack, right? Then all the way from September, from September all the way to December, right? So what, that's 3-ish months. He didn't have any sacks. He didn't record a sack at all, right? And then the last 3 weeks, he's had a sack in each game, right? So he had 1 sack against New England, 1 sack against the Commanders, 1 sack against Minnesota. So hopefully he's turning that corner, or they're turning that corner with him. Like I said, it just seems from all the press conferences and everything else, it seems like simplifying this situation for him would be best for Abdul Carter.
Let me add some numbers to you to what you're saying, Keith. You said 3 sacks. He also against, I think, Washington, he had 2 fumbles forced. And in that 3-game span, he's got 10 pressures on the quarterback. So he's figuring it out. He's getting there. Now let's press play on it full time. Let's allow him to just really play his game.
Yep, I agree 100% with DP. Let's do this, man. Not your hat and your whistle, right? I told you, this is the tie. This is the button down. This is the blazer, man, because we're going to play general manager. We're going to pick the prospect and then hand them to the coach and say, coach this young man up. There's a lot to be had there. So we're going to do that in my coach him up segment coming up next.
Today's episode is brought to you by Prospects. The holiday season is one of the best times for sports. Bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes, it's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is Prospects. Prospects is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Prospects has added an extra layer of excitement to the holiday sports schedule. Creating a lineup takes less than a minute, less than 60 seconds, and the app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. Download the Prospects app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prospects, it's good to be right. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shop, for being our everydayers. And thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft and the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. All because of you. Let's get into Coach 'em Up.
We're not hating, we're helping. Coach 'em up.
Keith, my Coach 'em Up prospect, that's a guy a lot of people don't really know about. I've tweeted about him. Mike Washington Jr., the running back out of Arkansas.
You cannot be serious.
That's my Coach 'em Up guy, Keith. Guys, we didn't talk about this
man.
Show.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
So we're gonna have a conversation about it, Nick, Keith.
Yeah, this is turning into yes. All right, but you know what? At least if we was working in the same front office, we agree on the pick, right?
We know who we're drafting. Then we know who we're drafting as GMs, Keith. I listen. I love this dude's ability, the size, the speed. Like he's so impressive, Keith. And I think the one thing I want to coach him up on is more so the pass protection. So I keep him on the field. Like he's got some. Like he's strong. He's physical. He's not afraid of the contact. It's more so the technique. It's like almost like an offensive lineman who's bending at the waist instead of the knees, who's lunging. Mike Washington Jr. is 6'2", 230 pounds, and I want to coach him up on the pass protection and then the ball security. I want to work on the ball security. I think he has 9 fumbles in his 4 to 5 year career in college football, Keith. I think this guy could be an absolute stud at the next level. Because I was watching this film and I put like a 3-minute clip of some runs on Twitter. Like, you don't see a 6'2", 230-pound running back jump cutting and then able to string together another jump cut right after that. You know what I mean? And then he catches the ball pretty well out of the backfield, soft hands, stiff arm. He'll absolutely. I know exactly. It was Michael Taft, the safety from Texas. He had a run up the left sideline. And shout out to Michael Taft, man. He wasn't afraid. You know what I mean? It just didn't end well. He got ran over, and I was like, Jesus, Mike. Like, you know what I mean? He just ran straight through him and scored the touchdown, but he'll run through your face, all those things. He's not really – I want to work with him on zone runs. I think just kind of the patience to then plant and cut, read it right. Because he's got a little stiffness in the hips rotational-wise, but if you could teach him to be patient on those runs, plant that outside foot, and get north and south, yeah, this dude could be a problem in the league if he gets the opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna finish that point when you talk about the outside runs. To me, what he appears to be is a more of a halfback sweep or toss type of outside runner where all the momentum is already going that way, right? And he can just press the accelerator, right, and beat somebody to the edge versus zone where that's more tempo steps, right? And you're reading and moving at the same time. All right, let me rewind at the beginning, right? And why did I lose my mind when DP started talking was because obviously this is the coach 'em up segment, and we're both supposed to pick a prospect, right? And my prospect was Mike Washington also, right? So DP jumped in there before, but like I said, at least we agree on this prospect. I'm gonna go with this DP, and playing general manager, hand him over to the coaches. I take this guy in the second round. Watching him initially, I'm looking at him and I'm saying, wait, hold on, is this guy this good, right? And then like, let me watch some more film. I think that was pretty doggone good what I just seen, right? And like you said, you seen that 6'2", 225 pounds and able to string together consecutive jump cuts, right? Or you go from a jump cut to a spin move, and then you lower your pad level, right? And then when he gets out into the open field and you see his gait, right? He opens up that gate. It was impressive. I'm gonna make this statement. I'm not comparing him to him, right? But he runs wild in a good way, almost similar to like Adrian Peterson, right? You know, Adrian Peterson reminded you of like that revved up horse, right? Like a Mustang, like just he's in the open field, like just going. That's what he looks like in open field. And he's what I like to see in running back sometimes is that when they finish runs, they're fighting. Meaning that they're scrapping. You see a stiff arm flying out of nowhere, right? Like they're stepping over people. They have a good base. They're difficult to bring down. Similar to like how, like, in just to paint a picture, right? I use Adrian Peterson. I'm throwing out another high profile name. Marshawn Lynch, right? He was just kind of like a fighter. And I think their running styles are differently, but I'm just trying to paint that picture of like how Marshawn always fought to finish. I like this young man. Just going back and looking at him, DP, and I looked at Arkansas. And I said, y'all had Taylor Green, and nobody knew about this guy. Y'all had this guy.
Nobody knew.
No wonder y'all scored a lot of points, but then also y'all fumbled the ball when it comes to winning football games, right? Like y'all had a quarterback like Taylor Green who could tote the rock and throw the football. And then you had Mike Washington, who I'm ready to put him in that he might I'm going to have a real conversation with myself. He's going to be a prospect where I'm going to have to look myself and say, could this young man finish his RB2 in this draft class? And that's a serious conversation I have to have behind Jeremiah Love, because I think he is that talented and that skilled. So, I'm right there with you. It's just some little things, and I identified the pass pro stuff too, where it was a net negative and a net neutral at the same time, right? It was real, just kind of right? Right? Like, and it just needs to be cleaned up. Like, it wasn't god awful.
No,
it wasn't good neither, right? No. It was like I don't know what to call this, right?
Like, we got to get you in camp and work on it.
And I think that's what it's called, right? It's called coach him up. That's probably the phrase of it. But I also, too, DP, and watching it in flashes because they didn't do it a lot. But him out of the backfield, he seems like a natural hands catcher. But I will want to see how can I open up even more, right? Can I run you out to the slot, motion you out of the backfield, things like that, and allow you to catch the football too? Because if so, this could be dangerous. In the mock draft that we did yesterday, we talked about Jeremiah Love to the Kansas City Chiefs in the first round. If they're able to get this guy in the second or third round, that can be very dangerous too. So, Mike Washington Jr., we both agree this young man can play football. Draft him, coach him up, and dare I say, you could potentially have a top 10 running back in the NFL. Like I think he can go there.
I love it, Keith. I mean, heck, you look at the Dallas Cowboys, right? Day 2, you know, I think Javonte Williams was on like a 1-year deal or whatever it was.
So DP, that's Jerry Jones' stumping grounds, right? That's
100%. So, like, I think you go ahead and like I said, second, third round, you draft this kid, and you able to add extra, the premier pieces you need in the first 2 rounds. If you can get him in the third, like, Keith, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I hope the NFL. The NFL, they select a certain number of guys for the combine, and we get snubs every year. I hope he's not a snub, because I think if he goes to the combine, Keith, I wouldn't be shocked if he hit 4.4 at 230. I would not be shocked if he hit the high 4.4, 4.48, 4.49, somewhere in there. I wouldn't be shocked if he hit 4.4s. And then you're gonna think about it, right? Like, what was Braylon Allen, the running back out of Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
And I remember I was probably one of the few people that was a detractor for him. Everybody else was like, man, look at his build, and he's got the speed. He's a former linebacker. I said, yes, I see a running back that lacks natural feel of playing the position. Right now, he's gotten better since he got drafted, but then you got Breece Hall, so you don't get to see him as much, as Breece is the guy, right? Like, Breece runs the ball, he catches the ball. There's no reason to take him off the field. Mike Washington might be what people wanted Braylon Allen to be. Like 6'2", 230, explosive, like just
he's a high-end athlete, DP. Like I believe if what my eyes are true, right? And I believe my eyes, this is a high-end athlete. Like, this should be a 4.4 guy. Like, if you compare him to last year, I'll be interested to see the tail of the tape between him and Omarion Hampton, right? Because Omarion Hampton, we watched the film, was like, Omarion Hampton can roll, right? Like, this is a guy that's 225, 30 pounds, and he ran a 4.4 at the combine. I can see Mike Washington putting on the same type.
He doesn't get caught from behind. Like, he doesn't get caught from behind at all.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Like, you have to have an angle on him to be able to bring him down. But
then you got to tackle him. That's the second part of that. You got to have the angle, and you got to tackle him. And that's just that's a tough thing all to do. Especially you a safety or corner. Yeah, that's a tough call right there. Some business decisions will be made when you see that locomotive down the sideline full speed. Like, it's just me in the end zone. Like, what's my plan here? Like, well, I don't know, but I'm gonna be watching closely.
Yep, and I started watching him because of the Senior Bowl. I'm he made the Senior Bowl list, invitees and everything, accepted invitees. I'm excited to watch this guy, right? Like, to see him in person, see what that build looks like, and just everything else, and see.
He looks like he's got 2% body fat. Like, he looks like he hits the gym all the time, and it shows in this play. He's like, this dude is strong. So that's crazy. I didn't know. I was like, man, I feel like I'm the only person that know about Mike Washington, because I've never seen anybody else talk about him. And then here I go, we both on the same page.
Yeah, DP, I'm gonna make a reappearance on Twitter. DP, I have to make a reappearance on Twitter. It's draft season now, so I'm gonna make a reappearance. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at the Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us, because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Again, happy holidays to everyone. Hope that you stayed safe.
Happy holidays.
You stayed blessed. You had a great time with your family. Guys, next week, we got New Year's Eve, New Year's. And what does that mean? College football playoff continues. So we'll be breaking down those matchups and those prospects in these matchups that you need to watch. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.